Hi everyone, welcome to Healing After Infant Loss. The first thing I want to say is if you have been through an infant loss, I am so sorry. I know just how tough that is. I myself have experienced 2 miscarriages, 1 missed miscarriage, 1 late-term abortion due to medical issues, and then I did IVF and embryo freezing. So chances are I know how you're feeling and I am so sorry. In today's video, I thought we could talk through 9 different ideas and different ways to honour your baby. I know that after going through 4 pregnancy losses, it can feel like you are quite disconnected from them, and as soon as kind of the miscarriage or infant loss happens, you're then expected to move on and never really talk about it again, never really do anything to commemorate the baby and the life that you lost. So I thought it could be a nice idea today to talk about different ways in which you could honour your baby. I think there are different ways of going about it, and I'm going to share 9 different ways in a second, but I think it's really important to find something that resonates with you if you want to do anything at all. I know a lot of people go through miscarriage or infant loss or abortion or whatever it might be and don't feel the need to do anything, and they're quite happy to move on with their life or just to think about them whenever they want to, but without having any kind of permanent reminder, I guess. Because it is such a hard time and it's such a painful reminder that you lost a child. So understand if you don't want to do anything to commemorate or to have any kind of physical thing that you can hold on to, and I completely understand that. But for those people who do want to find something and find a way of commemorating their infant losses, I have a list of 9 ideas, so let's jump straight into it. The first one is to get a tattoo. So I have a tattoo on my wrist, and when people ask me about it, I just say, oh, I like the design. And I don't tell many people what it means, so I'm going to share it with you today because I trust you. It's a unilam, which is a Buddhist symbol, and it's meant to represent when you're born in life, you go through lots of twists and turns, and then at the end you come to nirvana, or a state of meditation, a state of peace. And I really liked the sentiment of that, and I also really liked the kind of, I like that meaning, but I also like my own meaning in terms of going through life and having all the twists and turns of life and then coming out the other end and just feeling calm and at peace with whatever has happened in life. I got this 1 year after my abortion, exactly to the date. It was on the date of the abortion 1 year later, and I found a lot of healing in getting the tattoo, and it means a lot to me. It's interesting with tattoos because when they're on your body, they could just kind of become a part of you and you don't really notice them anymore. So I don't notice on a day-to-day basis, but obviously when I do look at it and I know what the meaning is. And then along the top I have 5 little dashes, and that's to represent May. And then at the bottom I have 3 little dots, and that's to represent the 3rd. So the 3rd of May 2017, which is the date of the abortion. So like I said, I got that a year later, and it's my little reminder that shit happens and we go through lots of ups and downs and twists and turns, but you can come out the other end and you can find peace and healing. I know tattoos are a little bit of a, you either love them or you hate them kind of thing. I personally love them and I would love to get more. I've also thought about getting a couple of little stars to represent the infant losses that I've had. I can't decide whether I get 3 for the 3 miscarriages or whether I get 4 for including Lewis, the baby that we lost. And I also lost my grandma recently, so maybe I get 5, 1 to represent her and then the other one's for the babies. I haven't quite decided, which is why I haven't gone ahead and done it. But I do think a tattoo is a really nice way to commemorate and remember your baby, because it's with you all the time and you can't ever forget about it, you can't ever get rid of it. And I think that's a really nice sentiment. I know that might be scary for some people as well, that like if you get a tattoo when you're in grief, you might then regret it later on in life. So I would say maybe wait a little bit, a couple of months maybe. I waited a whole year and did it on the anniversary. That is something to think about as well. Maybe don't go and do it straight away because you might, be in your head a bit too much. But I do think a tattoo is lovely because, like I said, it comes with me everywhere, and especially because I don't have a home, I don't have anywhere that I can buy a piece of artwork or do any of the other kind of things that I'm going to mention in a minute. Having a tattoo means that it's always with me, it's always, it's become a part of me, and honestly my infant loss is a part of my story, it's a part of who I am. It has moulded me and shaped me into who I am as well, having gone through so much loss. So it's a part of me, and now it's physically a part of me as well because it's tattooed on my wrist and I see it every day and I love it, and I think it's a beautiful design as well, which obviously helps. So that's number 1, is getting a tattoo, and obviously there's lots of different things you can do. This one is a little bit more abstract, so somebody could look at that and not know what it means. They might think of the Buddhist meaning, or they might just think it's a fun design, and I like that. I like that it's a little bit secretive or a little bit hidden maybe, and if somebody that I don't know asks me about my tattoo, I can just say, oh, just like the design. And it's just like a throwaway comment, and I don't have to dive into the details of it too much. Whereas if you get a name or a date or things like this, I think it's a bit more obvious to people what that is, and people might ask what that means. I have my wedding date in Roman numerals along my foot, and there's been countless people who have asked me what the date is and what it means, and I tell them it's the wedding day. So if I'd had a date, his date of birth, tattooed on me, people might ask what that is, and you kind of have to get into details with it. Of course you could lie, but it's the same with names. I think if I was to tattoo his name anywhere, people might ask who that was. Or I see also people get tattoos of feet, like baby footprints or handprints. Again, I think that just feels a little bit too personal and a little bit too, I mean, it's kind of up to you, but for me, like, tattoos are for you personally, so it doesn't really matter if people ask about it. You don't have to tell them. But I like the fact that this one is a little bit more discreet and it's not as obvious. So that's my personal preference, but obviously you can go on Pinterest and have a good look. There's loads of different designs, but tattoo is the first option. The second one is to plant a tree. Now this is a really, really nice idea. We did think about planting an olive tree in the south of France in Jeremy's parents' home, because they're never ever going to move house. They've lived there for 30 years, they're never going to leave. So we did think about planting a tree. For me personally, we didn't do that because we thought it might just be too much of a reminder whenever we're at their house, and we don't always need to be reminded of it when we're at their house, which sounds silly because I have the tattoo on my wrist that I see every day, so obviously I'm reminded every day. But I don't know, for us it just didn't feel right, and it might be something that if we ever buy a place, maybe we do that, but for the meantime, because it wasn't our home, we didn't really want to, I don't know, we didn't really feel that was right for us. I do think planting a tree though is a really nice idea if you have a family home or somewhere where you're staying long term. Obviously we are backpacking, we're travelling a lot, so we're not in one place. But I think having a tree, especially if you grow it from a seed or from quite a small plant into a large tree, it kind of shows the growth, and it's almost like your baby is growing with you. And this might sound a bit deep or a little bit woo-woo, I don't know, but I think seeing the tree growing over time, or a garden or plants growing over time, it might be a really, really beautiful kind of place to go, and maybe a place to go and sit under the tree or talk to the trees if you're talking to your baby. So it could be a really healing way of connecting with your baby. The next option is to get some jewellery that is custom made or means something to you and your baby. So I know popular things is to get birthstones. So if you were to get a necklace, you could get the birthstone of either the day that, the month that they passed away, or it could have been the month that they would have been born, something like that. You could also get initials. If you are to name your baby, you could put their initials or their name on a piece of jewellery. Or you could also put another kind of symbol or something else that represents your baby, maybe a dove or a flower, or there's lots of different ideas of things that you could incorporate. And of course this could be a necklace, and maybe you put their initials on the bit that's next to your chest so it's close to your heart. You could also get a bracelet with maybe their name on the bracelet. The other option could be a ring. On my wedding ring, I have my wedding date engraved on the inside of the wedding ring. So that could be something as well that's really hidden from other people, but it's there. So you get a ring and you inscribe their name or date, so nobody else knows that it's there, but it's there. And I think that could be a really nice way to carry them with you all the time. It is obviously a little bit scary because if you lose that piece of jewellery, I think that could be really heartbreaking. So that's also something to consider. Make sure that you keep it safe and make sure that you really protect it, because I think that could be upsetting if you were to ever lose or break that piece of jewellery. But the other nice thing about jewellery is that you could wear it every single day, a bit like the tattoo, it never goes away. So if you were to make a necklace with the initials or the birthstone or something like that, you could wear that every single day and you would feel really connected to your baby that way. Rather than it being a permanent piece like a tattoo, you can take it off and on, but they're obviously with you as well all the time. So the next idea is to create a memory box, and this just breaks my heart even thinking about it, but I think some people might find it really therapeutic. We have something similar at Jeremy's parents, and I think we have a couple of the first things we bought for the baby. So we have maybe a dummy, we've got a little onesie, like a, what's it called, like a body. We've also got pregnancy sticks, pregnancy tests. I think we might also have some of the medical reports. I think we might also have a book. I think we'd bought like a book of, the first year of the baby's life, where you're supposed to write in their name and their first time they say a word, their first tooth, all the first things. We bought something like that as well. So we have a box at Jeremy's parents where we have all of this just in one box, and I have not been back to it since we had the abortion. I've not looked at it since. I think it would just be too painful to go back and look at it. I'm not going to cry. But that could be something that you might want to do. I think just keeping things for a later date is probably a good idea anyway, and you might want to go back at some point, and if you don't go back and look at it, that's absolutely fine, but at least it's there for you to go back to if you want to. So things like hospital notes, hospital bracelets. We also had actually footprints and I think maybe handprints as well. definitely footprints. You could also put in any scan pictures that you have from your scans or any letters. So writing a letter after the death of your baby might be a nice idea, and you could also pop that in the memory box, so that if you ever want to go back and feel connected to them, you can read the letter, you can look through the pictures, you can look through all the different memorabilia and the different things that you have. I think it would obviously be tough to go back and look at these things, but I think it's nice to have something, so that if you ever do want to go back, you have that there available to you. So the next idea is to write a letter to your baby, or you could keep a journal, or you could do both. So like I said, I think writing a letter after your baby has passed away could be a really nice way to just tell them how much you love them, how much you appreciate them, how much you wanted them, how sad you are, all the rest of it, you know, all the emotions. You can put that down into paper, and I think that could be a really therapeutic way of healing. But then also you could keep a journal of things that happen in your life. Maybe if you go on to have future children, the ways that you're thinking about them. Maybe you could write on their birthdays, things that you wish they could have been here for, or things they could have experienced. Whatever it is you might want to write down, I think keeping a journal specifically for them could actually be a really, really beautiful idea. And I wish I'd done that with mine. I think that could be so nice to kind of go back to, and just have a place where you can really write down all your honest thoughts and feelings and keep it all in one place. That's also something that you could keep in the memory box, so that it's kind of tucked away, but then you can go back and find it whenever you want to. So maybe try starting a journal, or maybe write your baby a letter. That could be a really nice way to connect with them on a deeper level. The next idea is to donate some money in your baby's name to a hospital or a charity. Maybe if you went to a certain hospital to be looked after, maybe there was a charity that helped you out, or maybe there's, research charities if your baby had a specific disease or something wrong with them, or whatever it might be. I think donating in your baby's name is such a nice way to make their death something positive, and to try and help other babies and other families. So obviously you can look online at all the different options and different charities and hospitals you can donate to, but I'm sure you would find something that would resonate with you and what you've been through in particular. But that could be a really nice way to kind of help other people whilst also helping yourself, and donating money to help the cause, whether it might be about infertility, maybe it's about certain diseases or illnesses like I said, maybe you want to donate to the hospital or the place where you were looked after. All of this money can go towards helping other families and other babies, so that could be a really nice idea as well. The next idea is to commission some artwork. So this could be a drawing, it could be a painting, it could be a sculpture, it could be ceramics, it could even be handmade jewellery like we talked about earlier. But I think creating some artwork, or having an artist create artwork for you in remembrance of your baby, could be a really, really beautiful way to celebrate their life and to remember them. I've seen online people that draw images, or they take photographs and kind of superimpose them, or draw, babies with grandparents or babies with siblings, things like that. So there's definitely artists out there who are already working with people who have lost their children. So you can definitely find people like that. Of course, you could also find a painter that you enjoy, or you could find a sculptor that you like, or a ceramic artist, and ask them for something with maybe certain colours or certain emotions or feelings or whatever it might be. But you can really get in touch with your emotional side and your creative side, and work with an artist to make a piece of artwork that you can display in your home and that can remind you of your baby. Again, it doesn't have to be anything super obvious and super kind of in your face about what it is. It doesn't have to have their name or their date of birth. It could be an abstract piece of artwork like a painting, but if you know that this is the colours of the month that they were born, or maybe it's a flower of the month they were born, or if it's whatever it might be, some sort of memory that you might have that can kind of evoke that memory and that love within that artwork, I think that could be really, really special. So the next one is to name a star in remembrance of your baby. There are organisations that let you do this, and I think it's such a beautiful way to every evening look up at the sky and know that there's a star out there that's named after your baby. I think it's so, so beautiful. This one is obviously a little bit different to the other ones because it's not a physical object that you can hold. It's nothing kind of tangible. I guess donating to charity as well isn't a tangible thing, but you know that you're helping other people. Naming a star is something a little bit more abstract, but it's something that's always going to be there. So every single evening, you can look up at the sky and there's going to be a star that reminds you of your baby. And I think, again, no matter where you go in the world, no matter how much you travel, no matter what happens in life, these stars are always going to be here to remind you of your beautiful baby and how much you love them. So I think that's a really, really nice idea as well, so that you have a constant reminder without it necessarily being on your body, in your home, jewellery, that kind of thing. It's more of an abstract view, I would say, but it's something that, again, can make you feel connected to your baby and your loved ones. And the last idea is to create personalised memorial items. So this might be blankets, it might be stuffed toys, it might be jewellery like we talked about earlier. It could be lots of different things, but it could be something that you make for them specifically. I think a blanket, like a baby blanket, is lovely. Maybe even a baby grow, or an item of clothing or a baby hat. It could be a stuffed toy, like a stuffed teddy bear. I think having a teddy bear with the baby's name and date of birth, that could be a really nice item to keep in the memory box with all the other things. I think the teddy bear is actually a really nice idea because you'll be able to cuddle the teddy bear and have moments with it, and then pop it back in the box and keep it away, and then bring it out whenever you want to. Or you could keep it, out in your bedroom all the time, or wherever you want it, in the living room, wherever. And it's a nice way to remember your baby and to have maybe the date or their name and things like this on an item that you can physically touch and you can look at and you can bring out whenever you want to connect with your baby. A teddy is also something that you can keep for years and years to come, and if you ever have any other children, you can pass it on to them, and it's a nice way for them to remember their siblings and also grandchildren, and it can kind of be passed on throughout the generations. And I think especially with siblings, that's a really nice idea to kind of keep their memory of their sibling alive. Hi guys, I am back. The lighting is slightly different because I'm editing this video and I completely forgot to include the affirmation and the book of the week. So the lighting is different, and I also only have 5% battery on my camera, so I need to rush through this. But the affirmation for the week is: my baby's memory is honoured and cherished in my heart and through the ways I choose to remember them. And I think this is a really beautiful one for this week because our babies are honoured and cherished and loved, no matter if we do a big grand gesture like naming a star or getting a tattoo or whatever it might be, all the things that I've mentioned in this video. But they are also loved and honoured and cherished whether we choose not to do any grand gesture, but they live in our hearts and in our memories forever. So whether you choose to do a big grand gesture or not, either way is completely fine, and it's completely personal preference. So don't ever feel like you have to prove your love or prove your your loss or your sadness by doing some big grand gesture. Whatever you choose to do is absolutely perfect for you and for your baby. So although I have mentioned 9 different ways you can honour your baby, if you choose to keep them in your memory and in your heart, and that's all you choose to do, that is absolutely perfect, and there is no need to do anything different. So the affirmation again: my baby's memory is honoured and cherished in my heart and through the ways I choose to remember them. And I think that's a really beautiful one for this week. And the book recommendation for the week is Naming the Child: Hope-Filled Reflections on Miscarriage, Stillbirth and Infant Loss by Jenny Schrodel. Again, I'm dyslexic and I'm ADHD, so I'm probably saying that name wrong, and I'm so sorry, Jenny, if I butchered your name. I'll be leaving it on screen. But Naming the Child is a compassionate resource that provides reflections and support for those grieving the loss of a baby through miscarriage, stillbirth or infant loss. The book discusses the healing power of naming your baby and offers guidance on how to honour and remember them. It's filled with personal stories, practical advice, and spiritual reflections, making it a comforting read for those seeking to create meaningful tributes to their child. So I thought that's really lovely to sort of talk about naming the child, because although I lost 4 pregnancies, I only named one, which is the one we had the abortion. His name is Lewis. We named him because I was 26 weeks pregnant. We knew he was a boy. We'd felt him kicking. We really had that strong connection and bond with him. The other 3 pregnancies that I lost, I had a miscarriage at 5 weeks, a miscarriage at 8 weeks, and then a missed miscarriage. I was about 11.5 weeks, measuring 6 weeks. So for those 3, we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. We hadn't felt the kicking, we hadn't done scans, so we didn't feel as connected, so therefore didn't name the babies. I think now thinking back on it, we could have chosen really gender neutral names such as Charlie or maybe Jamie, or I'm sure there's other names I can't think of right now that would be suitable for both a boy or a girl. So we could have named them, we just didn't for ourselves. No real reason why, we just chose not to. But I think that's a really beautiful way to connect with your baby. I think it kind of makes it more real. I think sometimes a miscarriage can feel like it was just a big pregnancy, or it was, it's not a big deal, it wasn't a big loss. Whereas actually naming the baby that you lost really makes it real and really kind of, I don't know, it makes you feel more connected to them. For me personally, naming a baby might be something that you might want to think about. If so, I'll leave this book recommendation in the description box down below. I'll leave an Amazon link so it's super easy for you to go ahead and shop. I will say though, having named our baby Lewis, I do get upset when I hear the name Lewis. So my brother's friend is called Lewis. So he'll sometimes say things like, oh, my friend Lewis came round, and I'm just like, oh, like it kind of hits you a little bit. Obviously Lewis Hamilton as well, the racing car driver. Jeremy watches a lot of sports, so he'll say, oh, Lewis Hamilton is winning the race or whatever. So sometimes when the name Lewis comes up, I do get a little bit of a like in my chest. So it's one of those where it's like, I think by naming the child you feel more connected to them and it feels more real, and they were an actual human being that you lost, they were a real baby. But then also if you choose a name that is common or that you might hear, you know, throughout your life, it might also give you just a little bit of a oh whenever you hear that name. So yeah, that's my just little piece of advice in terms of that. So that's the affirmation and the book recommendation. I'm now going to switch back to the end of the video that I filmed earlier, so it's all going to change again, but I wanted to come on here and make sure I include those in this video. So I really hope you enjoyed this video and found some comfort in here. Please let me know in the comment section down below if you have any other ideas of how you would keep your baby's memory alive. If you would like to share your story, you can do it in the comment section down below. I'm also going to share my website and my Instagram and my TikTok, but I'm also going to share a link where you can share your story, and I'll post that on a blog on my website so that we can collect lots of different stories from lots of different people talking about the ways that they heal after infant loss, because I would really like to open this conversation up more. So if you want to share, I will leave the link down below, but thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I'm always here for you if you want to message me on Instagram or send me an email. I'm always here to talk to you, and you are not alone. Sending you so much love, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye.